Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of Late Night Dice. As always, I'm joined by Kyle and Christian. Say hi to everybody.
How you doing, folks?
Hi, everybody.
So, this episode's going to be a little bit different because we're actually going to use pictures and shit. Maybe like some references. But there's a topic I keep seeing popping up online through multiple Horus Heresy groups, multiple communities, and it is still tying into our favorite subject of how to build an army, right? But in a different way. A lot of people are asking, like, hey, I'm looking in, this app, or hey, I was looking and found this. Where do I find XYZ? Right. Um, so if we think about where we were, say, like 5 months ago, right? If we think about where we were and where we are now, what all has come out and how much has that changed on what you need to start playing the game, right? There's been a big surge of new information, new PDFs, new expansions. And so I want to go over, again, what you need to start playing, but I also want to go into where do we find it and how do we use it. And then what I want to do is give you guys a breakdown of how New Recruit works. And we're going to get into what New Recruit is, why you should be using it, because it's a lifesaver for multiple reasons. And then we're also going to get into the differences between old style list building and new style list building. Shut up, Christian.
I thought you were gonna say something else. I thought you were gonna say the two L words.
I
That's
know.
all I was like,
I
yeah.
know what you were gonna say. I know what you were gonna say, and we're gonna get to that too. So first, let's talk about where we started. So I have open the Games Workshop main page here, right? So where we started, we had the Liber Astartes rulebook. We had the Libers for each one of our factions. So we had the Liber Astartes, the Liber Hereticus. We also had the Liber Auxilia, the Liber Mechanicum, and the Liber Questoris, which was the night book. It's not on the screen, but it's on this webpage. After those were released, a few other documents were released. The two that are published in person are right here on the main webpage. This is the Journal Tactica Istvan Dropsite Massacre and the Journal Tactica The Forces of Saturnine. So these two books we've talked about on previous episodes, the Dropsite Massacre and the Saturnine, are expansion books, right? These are additional force slots and units that you can use for certain armies. The Forces of Saturnine we talked about a couple episodes back. Dropsite Massacre we talked back way back. I think like fourth or fifth episode maybe. These books, I'm not going to say don't buy them. I'm going to say you probably have a friend that has one. And there's only maybe between the two books about 18 useful pages for actual gameplay. Now, story-wise, they're fantastic books. You should probably still buy them if you're wanting to get some storyline, some narrative. And they do have some pretty fun narrative missions in them. But today I'm only going to focus on what you need for hard rules, right? So those are the published books that are in person. You can walk into a store and you can buy, right? You can buy these at any store that sells GW product. The next portion are the PDF releases. Now, I'm going to show you where to find those. So this is the main Warhammer page. If you go up here to the top and you go to Warhammer Community, there's a section over here to the right called Downloads. And in that, there are listings for every game that Games Workshop offers. If you click on the Horus Heresy, it'll bring you to this page here. Now, Legacies of the Age of Darkness. These are the PDFs that have been released for the game so far. These are additional rules, expanded units, expanded rules. These are all usable. And there is a distinction that needs to be made, and I'm going to let Christian be the one to make the distinction because this is one of, like, this shit gets my blood pumping when I see this. I consider it like an honest mistake because of the way that the gaming communities of each individual game are different. But I'm gonna let Christian explain the differences between Legends units as we see them in Warhammer 40K
Mm.
and legacies as we see them in Horus Heresy. So, Christian, I'm going to let you take that one.
All right, boys. This is shout
And
outs to all my
girls.
40K community out there. I just need to say this. Not all of y'all are like this. I know we could read. I know we could do better. There's some people out there, and I didn't believe it until we had to go through some Reddit posts. We had to look at some of the news popping around, and I honestly thought Gabe was messing with me. But no, people don't understand the word legacy and legends. They're two different words, two different systems of two different games. In 40K, we have legends. Now, legends are the old school models that we can't use anymore because that's more pushed toward the competitive scene. They push those models out. Here in the Horus Heresy, it's more narrative driven game. Legacy does not mean you can't use these models. Legacy does not mean that at all. Legends means that, yes. Legacy are all the cool models that we got in updated in these PDFs. And if you don't believe me, Gabe, can you open up the first page of the Legacies of the Age of Darkness?
I can. So there's this forward, and those of you who have been playing Horus Heresy for a while, you've noticed that in the new versions of the rules, they have the long legalese written by the agents that were used to screw Prince out of his rights. And then there's a small highlighted box that shows, like in bold, a breakdown of that rule. So this is the PDF for the Legacies of the Age of Darkness. And it explains that this is an expansion of the game. It is not a standalone document, and you have to have all that. But then it goes on.
Hold on, Gabe. Hold on. I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to stop you here real quick.
No, you're not. We're going.
No, I am. I'm gonna stop you because we've got old people like Mike. I need you to zoom in a little bit and make these letters a little bit bigger.
Oh no,
We're
they're
gonna
fine.
zoom into it.
They can find them if they need them. But
We're
I'm
showing
gonna
them how to
zoom
find
in.
them.
I'm gonna zoom in on one particular box. How big can I make this in one screen?
Yeah,
How
perfect. Now
how
Mike can
big
read
can I
it.
go? Hang on. How big can we go? Nope, that's too big. I gotta dial it back just a touch. Right there, that's the box we're looking for, Christian.
And I get it. You know, we skip paragraphs, I guess, in the Warhammer community, but they always do this where they put it in big bold letters and in a box because it means it's important, guys. This tells you all armies listed profile from the Warhammer Horus Heresy Age of Darkness range are divided into two categories: core units and expanded units. These are just expanded units for your legions that you could play all throughout 3.0, all throughout the Heresy. So hopefully we could put this to bed now. And I'm sorry for the Horus Heresy community. You know, we got some new guys coming in from 40K.
Something to touch on. Something to touch on here to give a better explanation on this. Warhammer 40,000 has legends. Right, as you were saying earlier, these are models that are no longer in the production range. They don't actually have active FAQ changed rules. Right. In 2.0, Horus Heresy, this is where we first got the legacies of the Age of Darkness. And those legacies were even modified during erratas and FAQs and things like that. So even these documents will get edited, and as they're edited, they're going to be done the same way that you see them in Warhammer 40,000, where there's magenta for current changes, blue for previous changes. They do the document the same way. The difference is everything here is playable. So these black shields, we talked about these in our last episode. The inducti, these are additions to your army as it is. The demons can be run with your armies. The imperial militia is a whole other army you can play. The towns of the emperor, whole other, custodes, if you want to play those people, if you're very confident in yourself. And then you have the Age of Darkness, which is all the expansions of all of the rules, right? What I want you guys to understand is that legacies are not legends. Legends are not legacies. Because heresy does not, in any of the literature, in any of these books, does it ever use the words matched play. Right? That's not thrown around in the heresy vernacular very much. I think it's published in like maybe 3 books, and all 3 books that match play came up, like there were a few people that were sharpening pitchforks and like soaking torches because they were like, we don't do that here. Right? So what I want you guys to understand is we're pointing this out because I'm seeing tons of groups, and I showed Christian before the podcast because he didn't believe me when I said
I
it.
didn't fucking believe him.
There are tons of groups where people are still saying, man, it really sucks. I have this army, but a whole bunch of it went legends. I can't play it. There are no legends in Horus Heresy.
It's not even the
That-
same word.
Yeah, it's completely different. You are allowed to use any of these things. And I urge you to use all of them because a lot of them are really cool. Like Inducti are ridiculously good right now. So this is where you find all these documents. Now, there are some other ones, FAQs and erratas. There were a couple of small erratas to the original core rules when they came out. But funny enough, none of them were actually rule changes. Somebody went through and said, we forgot commas in this like amalgamation of unnecessary word bloat we put into some of these books. That errata, quite literally, is punctuation corrections. At least right now, as of today, October 20th, 2025, it was commas, periods, and spaces. Now, something else I want you guys to know. Where I took you here, in the Warhammer community page, in the downloads under Horus Heresy, all future PDFs and erratas will be located here. As we talked about in our last episode, we're going to be seeing Shattered Legions before the end of this month, according to Games Workshop. They will be posted here. And those Shattered Legions will also be a playable, usable army. Right? So when you're building your army, the number of places you're going to look for units and information. You're going to look in your core rulebook for special rules. You're going to look in your Libers. You're going to look in these legacy documents for your legacy units and your inducti units. And if you're going to use Shattered Legions or Black Shields or Militia or Demons, whatever you're going to use, it's going to be between those 2 places. It's going to be your books or it's going to be here. Okay. The next thing that I want to make really, really clear for everyone who's been kind of confused about all this information, because don't get me wrong, it does seem kind of crazy for me to be like, yeah, man, that $70 book, that's not all there is out there. There's a whole bunch of downloadable stuff. And like when I first went to go download the Legacies of the Age of Darkness, I was like, oh, hey, there's a PDF book. And then I opened it up and I was like, this is 200 fucking pages. Like I freaked out a little bit. I was like, what did we do that it needed 200 pages? Well, a lot of the additions were things like you can take these pieces of war gear on these models even though they weren't kitted that way. Right? So don't get too wrapped up in the length or the size of some of these documents. This was literally Games Workshop saying, hey, we're doing our best not to take away the stuff you were really accustomed to playing with, which I appreciate as a person who's been playing this game for 30 plus years. I like being able to play with all of my model ranges. Now I'm going to show you how to use this in New Recruit. And what we're going to do is today we're going to craft a 1,000 point army for Christian. Because Christian is a beautiful man. And I'm going to show you guys how to use New Recruit. If you don't know what New Recruit is, we'll put a link in the description. New Recruit, in my opinion, is the best army builder out there right now. I know a lot of people really like Quartermaster, and there's a few of you somewhere using Battle Scribe with a rock and a chisel.
He didn't mean it, Mike. He didn't mean it.
Oh, he meant it.
No. Like, I'm not trying to throw shade on Battle Scribe because you have to understand, Battle Scribe was like the best thing you could use for years. It was fantastic.
Oh yeah, I used it. It was.
Yeah, from 7th edition up until I found out about New Recruit, I really enjoyed Battle Scribe. But Battle Scribe had some small just convenience issues, having to download repositories every couple of days to make sure you have the most up-to-date information, keeping track of the databases, it not being available on the Apple Play Store for a little while. These were concerns, right? And Battlescribe, I'm not taking anything away from them. It was one of the best army builders out there for a very long time, right? New Recruit is far and away better for the current gaming situation. Okay, so I'm going to get into this. I'm going to show you guys how detachments work, how you can add them, how you can remove them, where they populate, how they're kind of ticked against the main counter. I'm going to show you all of that, right? And right now I have my computer sitting on the landing page for the New Recruit app, right? This is one of the other cool things is on Windows, it has an app. On tablets or phones, it has an app. It's not a downloadable app in the Play Store per se. You go to their website and you say, hey, I want to try it, and it opens it as a plugin, because New Recruit is web-based. Once you have your lists built or whatever else, you can go into offline mode if you're doing this on your phone or on your tablet. And it doesn't matter if you log in on your phone or on your tablet or on your computer at home, since it is web-based, all of your lists stay available to you, which is amazing.
It really is.
Right?
I loaded up on my tablet at the hotel room before an event, and when I'm down in the event room, the internet's real slow and shitty. Doesn't matter. My tablet still loads up what I need, which is
Well,
everything because I don't remember my rules.
it was especially funny to me because I remember when I would use Battlescribe, I would have like a really killer army idea while I was at work. And I'd be like, oh, dude, I just had this great idea. And I'd build it on my phone. And then I would get home and I would be like, yeah, let me pull up that army roster. And I'm like, okay, so now I have to export it. I have to re-import it, send it to my computer, reopen the RAWs file, and then load it up. And then I'd find out, oh, my computer's version of Battlescribe had more up-to-date repositories than the other one. So now there's a ton of inconsistencies in the list. Right? That's not a thing that happens with New Recruit. So what we're going to do is walk you through this. So this is the main landing page. I pay for New Recruit. You don't have to pay for them, but you can.
Ooh, fancy pants, Rich McGee over here.
Life's about the little things, Kyle. So
you pay to get rid of the annoying shit. I know.
well, and it does give some functionality improvements, but they're all quality of life improvements. They're not functionality detriments, right? So
It's not pay to win.
no, not well. I don't know how you would pay to win an army builder, but
Well, I mean, like it's fully functional without paying for it, is what I mean.
absolutely, 100%. So this is what the main landing page looks like. Now, the cool thing is up here at the top, you can add whatever games you want to the unit. So we're going to pick Horus Heresy 3rd Edition. And we're going to click Create a List. And it's going to have all the legions, all of the factions, all the things that you want. Christian, what army are we building today?
Okay, we're going straight into it. We're going to do Iron Warriors.
Iron Warriors.
Boo.
And this is for our chubby Mexican. So how many points are we building here?
So we're going to keep it how we said, and we'll do 1,000 points.
1,000 points. Okay. This part I don't like. You have to manually tab it.
I never have to manually. Really?
Yeah, it's not letting me actually type my number in.
What?
That's weird.
Yeah.
I'd never have to do that.
I pay for New Recruit. Burr.
No.
Quality
just a
control.
game thing.
I shit it.
Quality control issues. Quality control issues.
I can type my shit in. I don't know. Maybe Gabe's number keys are off, whatever. I always can type my
Oh,
stuff
you know
in,
what?
guys.
You know what?
You have your
I'm one to
numlock off.
no, but I'm one to bet I know what it was. That's what it was.
You're retarded.
I had it in record lock. Okay. So it also shows right here in the force where you can change which one you're using. We will always use the Crusade force chart. The only time we're not going to use that is for like if you're doing apocalypse games or something crazy, but we're always going to do the Crusade force. And then we're going to hit create list. Now it's going to pop up into a screen that looks like this. Now there's a lot of stuff that's on here right now because, as we've noted earlier, 3.0 is still evolving, right? So this is where New Recruit has actually added portions where you can say, hey, I'm getting an error, and you can report that bug. So for today's efforts, I'm going to delete these because we won't need them. So first things first, Heresy 3.0, every army requires a crusade starting detachment. So if you look up here at the left, there's an exclamation point. And if we highlight it, it says, hey, you have to have a crusade primary detachment. So we're going to open that detachment list. And holy crap, it just detachment vomited everywhere.
Hold on there, partner. I'm overstimulated. There's so much.
There's a ton, right? So we're going to add our crusade detachment, and you'll see it populate here in the middle. So when I click on that, now the army is over here to the left where we can actually fill in the detachment. So Christian, who is leading our illustrious army today?
As of always, I don't think I could leave home without him. I want the Warsmith.
Warsmith. And we're doing a regular Warsmith, or are we doing the Artificer Thin Boy?
No, regular Warsmith. Model
Fantastic.
looks amazing.
Chubby Mexican wants a chubby Warsmith. Okay. So as we add that, it will show up here and we'll open it up. Now, Warsmith is a little bit different. It doesn't have war gear options per se, other than a cyber familiar that it can take. But if we remember from our Crusade detachment in the main book, it says that if you take a high command slot, it allows you to take one Apex or one auxiliary detachment. So over here is where we make that selection. Christian, which one of these are we taking? Are we taking an Apex or an auxiliary?
Do you want to hold off on it to see, or what are my choices here, Gabe? I guess if we want to go, what do they both do?
Well, so Apex detachment is as it shows. It will only allow you to take one of the 3 Apex detachments: the combat retinue, the officer cadre, or the vanguard force.
Okay.
Right? The auxiliary detachment allows you to take, quite literally, if I click right back here at the top, it'll open back up these detachments. All of these auxiliary detachments are available to you to a degree. Right? You have 3 Apex, and then you have all of these auxiliaries that are available to you. So I tell you what, let's do this. Let's build out your troops, and we'll come back to that.
Yep, exactly what I was going to do.
So we're going to click back on the main detachment. Okay, we have a high command. Are we taking any command models?
No.
No command. All right. So what do we have on troop choices?
So the idea of building this list of what I want in my Iron Warriors is troop choices that could sit on objectives, and basically score me points. So what we have are tactical marines that I see that I know I was thinking of using, and inducti. I would like to go with inducti because, as we learned in our last video, these guys have special rules and they're badass. And one of the special rules that I really do like is where is it at? Gabe, what rule am I looking for? Expendable.
I was about to say, I bet it's expendable.
Yep.
Okay, so let's add a unit of inducti. So it populates the inducti here. I click on it, and here's all of our war gear options. So they can take shotguns. They can take shrapnel bolters. What are we taking? Are we keeping them on regular bolters, or are we taking shrapnel bolters?
We're taking shrapnel bolters all day. They're Iron Warriors. I think they're known for their shrapnel bolters. We're taking the shrapnel bolters.
Fantastic. And then if I hit this drop-down arrow, it also shows some of our unit benefits. So do you want to take any Nuncio boxes, any augury scanners?
Yes. So I'm going to keep with what I said in one of our episodes if y'all didn't see it. And I think you should always take Nuncio boxes. So I'm going to keep the money where my mouth is, and I'm going to take Nuncio boxes.
Now, if you guys were watching, the screen just did something pretty crazy. When I added that Nuncio box, it added another box. That's because what New Recruit does is a Nuncio box is a piece of war gear that only one Marine has on him. So when you take the Nuncio box, it splits off a profile for that single Marine. So if you look right here, we have 9 inducti, and then we have 1 inducti, and that inducti has the Nuncio box. That's why it split those boxes. This is to show you that there's one inducti unit with a shrapnel bolter, a bolt pistol, and an Unkyo box, and then there are 9 inducti with shrapnel bolters and bolt pistols. Everybody following so far?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. How many of these squads are we going to have? Or are they all going to be the same?
So I'm planning on taking 3. I think 3 is the perfect number at 1,000 points.
And are you going to take all 3 with shrapnel, all 3 with an Unkyo box?
Yes, exact same way.
So, cool feature in New Recruit. If you look right here, there's an eye. If you click that eye, it shows you the unit profile and all of their special rules in drop-down menus. Right? If I click this double clipboard, that just duplicates the unit. Cool. So we have our Warsmith and we have our 3 unit of inducti. Are these guys going to be moving on foot, or are they going to take a transport?
They will be taking a transport. I think for the cost, though, I would only want 2 of them in a transport. And the transport that I'm going to go with are rhinos.
All right, so we got a rhino. How are we kitting the rhino?
Let's just keep them bare bones, see how we fit out the list, and if we find some spots to put in points, we can go through and get the points in.
Okay, so far we've got a Warsmith, 3 10-man units of inducti with shrapnel bolters and Unkyo boxes, and 2 rhinos. We're at 675 points.
675.
Now, looking at this, your list is lacking some bite.
Yep, that's what just I was about to get to. Now, Gabe, if we think alike, what has some bite specifically to Iron Warriors? I could think of 2, but you know which one I'm thinking of.
Well, there's 2 options. One of them is Iron Circle, which is wildly too expensive, which means you want to run Siege Tyrants.
Yep.
Okay, so let's talk about how we get to the Siege Tyrants. So Siege Tyrants are a heavy assault choice. So what we'll need to do is revisit this Warsmith up here. You didn't take any prime slots yet. So there's a couple ways we can get to the Terminators. The first is we can make one of these inducti. Well, we can't actually because they're inducti. They can't take a prime slot. Normally, I would say you would take a prime slot, use a logistical benefit, and add in the Terminators, but you can't because inducti cannot be used as a prime unit. So instead, what we're going to have to do is change this to one auxiliary detachment, go back into our list, and we're going to need to add Shock Assault. Now, the Shock Assault auxiliary detachment opens up down here. We open that. It allows us to bring 2 units of Shock Assault, and one of those are Tyrant Siege Terminators. So we'll add them in. Now, do these Tyrant Siege Terminators, are they going to have any additional war gear? Do you want to give them Chain Fist? Do you want to give them Omniscope, Grenade Harness?
So I'm going to go with the Omniscope.
Okay, so we're going to go with the Omniscope. So that puts us at 985 points.
Now, Gabe, what is an omniscope? Because I've never heard of that before.
I'll tell you what, I'll get into that when I do the full list breakdown. Does that sound okay?
Okay.
Don't be so I kicked your puppy. We'll get back to it.
I'm just over
Okay,
here trying to be helpful and part of the conversation.
Hey, I appreciate that.
And I'm getting told, no, dumbass, sit there and shut up. I'm talking. Daddy's learning you something.
Okay, so we're at 985 points, Christian. Where do you want to go with these other, like, 15 points?
Let's go back to the rhinos. I don't think we could get anything of a unit or anything to fill out those points. So let's go to the rhinos.
So on the rhinos, we've got a couple of options. So they can take shrapnel bolters or combi bolters. They can take searchlights, hull mounted 100 kilometers dozer blades, but then they also have a full list of pintle mounted weapons. Now, what's really hilarious about rhinos is they come stock with one pintle mounted bolter. and you can add another pintle-mounted weapon. And there are technically 2 pintle mounts on a Rhino. However, one of them can take any pintle-mounted weapon, and the other one can only take a bolter or a combi bolter. So if you're really wanting to double down on the shrapnel mechanic, we could do a pintle-mounted shrapnel bolter and a pintle-mounted shrapnel bolter.
That sounds about right, because they're probably like 3 points apiece. I think all shrapnel bolters are 3 points apiece, and that's probably the only thing we could afford.
Probably so. So let's go ahead and do that to the next Rhino. That puts you at 997 points.
I don't think we could add another shrapnel bolter to anyone looking for that extra 3 points, because
I don't
think
think
the
we
Warsmith.
can. No, the Warsmith has 0 options. At least the
Yeah.
normal Warsmith. The Warsmith and Artificer armor can do the full thing, but
Yep.
okay. So moving on from that, let me show you guys a cool thing about New Recruit and why I like it. So up here at the top, we have a button that says List Options, right? And in those list options, it's got a couple things. One is an export. You can export this into a PDF or into a text file or an HTML file. One of the other things I really like is there's a share link to list button. So I'm going to click that, and it's going to populate this QR code, and it's going to be a list. So I'm going to copy that to my clipboard. Now I can just send that link to Christian, and he has a copy of his list.
Nice.
The other thing that it has in those list options is there's a button that says Enter Play Mode. This is bar none, without nothing else, excites me more about New Recruit than this button. When I enter play mode, it takes away all of the unit manipulations, and it is only a quick reference sheet for the army. This is something that Battlescribe never pulled off. You had to individually click the little eye next to each one of the boxes and do all the stuff. This play mode is amazing, right? Now, Kyle, earlier you asked me a question. You said, Gabe, what is an omniscope? So I'm going to click on the Siege Tyrants. Omniscope. When a shooting attack made by a unit that includes any model with an omniscope inflicts a hit, cover saving throws cannot be made for those hits. It ignores cover.
It ignores cover.
Now here's the other cool
Okay.
thing. If you guys notice, there's this rules drop-down menu right here, where we have firing protocols and slow and purposeful and implacable advance and bulky and all that. If you click on that, it shows you all of those. Full rules breakdown. It's all there.
And if
This
you're
is
connected to the
fantastic.
internet, the blue ones you can click, and it'll send you to other links to explain what that does.
Yeah, so like right here, we're looking at implacable advance, and we see heavy. If you click heavy, it goes to the heavy rule. If you're looking for firing protocols, it goes to the firing protocol rule. And you don't have to be online to click those, actually, Christian.
Oh, didn't know that.
Yeah, it's embedded into the document. It's just a pop-up. So all of those are there. If you want to go into the Warsmith and see all of his rules, all of the quick references there. All of it. Now, I'm going to exit back out of this for a second. We're going to leave play mode. There's one other thing I want to show you guys. There's a lot of confusion right now in 3.0 with how many detachments you're allowed and how it all does that. New Recruit actually keeps track of that for you. So if you look up here at the top, it shows 1 of 1 auxiliary detachments available. So if I go and I add a Centurion, right? See how that up there went to 1 of 3? That's because it's counting the officer of the line I gained from the Centurion. If I delete it, it reduces it down. So if you're ever worried about how many auxiliary detachments you have and things like that, New Recruit also keeps track of that for you as well. And when you add certain things, like here's something else, I'm adding a centurion, right? Well, now we have a red flag up here at the top, and it highlighted my points. If I hover over this, it's going to tell me what's wrong with my list. Oh, you're over your preset amount of 1,000 points by 77 points. New Recruit will show you the errors in your list. It'll do all that. Now, again, it's not foolproof because things change all the time. But I haven't seen a ton of inconsistencies in New Recruit, and most of the time they're ironed out as soon as we bring them up to the admins who are monitoring it. And if you look up here at the top, there is a report issue where you can click that and actually report what's going on with the app. What's wrong? Is it a data entry issue? Is it a list issue? Interfaces. This application is fantastic. So Kyle, Christian, what do we think? Any questions, any comments, any concerns?
Nope, none for me. I mean, I love using New Recruit. That's what we've been using since 10th edition onwards. Kyle?
You can't
Got it.
find 3 points.
Nope.
That's what you're doing with this. You can't find 3 points.
Well, Kyle knows me. I like list always to be exactly whatever price or exactly whatever points we put it at. And I'm not gonna lie, I've been looking up and down, and there's no one that could take one more shrapnel bolter. But I'm gonna leave the list as is because this is a building process. We're gonna play these lists out multiple times, see where they go from them, and we're not gonna mess. Well, I'm not gonna speak for anyone else. I'm not gonna mess with it. I'm gonna build off this list, so it will grow in time. I'll find those 3 points later for sure.
Yeah, I like
Well,
this little 1,000 points. This is going to be pretty good.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, and the reason why I bring that up is because there are break points in what you get per points, right? So that at 3,000 points exactly, you get like what, a warlord, or not a warlord? You're able to take a Primarch, right?
Oh yeah,
Well,
he's coming in.
okay,
No,
so
but I
that's
mean, like there's a point to having a set limit and reaching that limit, right?
I get where you're getting at on that. So that's gray, right? So you can't take a warlord detachment without being 3,000 points. There's also some other stuff that happens at 3,000 points. You're absolutely right, Kyle. There are breakpoints where you have to be on the dot with the points. So I understand your pursuit of wanting to hit 1,000 on the dot. Another thing where this ties in is Lord of War points. Lord of Wars can never be more than 25% of your list.
Yeah.
So when we get into higher point values around 2,500, 3,000, 3 points matter.
Yep.
Right now at 1,000, Christian's just gonna have to deal with 997.
Hey, having siege tyrants in the list,
Like,
I could deal with it.
like
I could deal with
don't get me wrong. This 997, I'm sure somewhere in some variant of the afterlife, Bob Barker's freaking out.
Right.
it.
But yeah, that's the closest we're gonna get. Like, we could get to 999 technically by giving one guy a shrapnel pistol, but that's
Yeah.
just splitting hairs at that point.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Yeah.
It's that they're staring at me, and I'm like, 999 is kind of better than 997, but that's just my Diablo 2 kicking in, you know?
Yeah, and you tell me when he dies, or I just make one model and just have him have dual wielding one little pistol and one fucking and that
Now,
could happen.
I mean, it would be
all
your
of
sergeant, wouldn't
now all that being said, Induct I don't have sergeants, Kyle.
it? Oh, they don't have a leader?
No,
Hey
And they,
Kyle, did you listen to our episode we did on Inducti?
well, I'll be honest, I've kind of written off sergeants as like useless. So
I don't feel that way.
I don't feel that way either.
I know, but I'm also noob and I'm playing Thousand Suns. My sergeants aren't as important as they were.
I myself, my Induct I can take a sergeant with Ultramarines, so like we're super happy about that. But yeah, this is what I'll say. We're getting close to the wrap up here on this episode. This is going to be kind of a short one because I really wanted to touch on this and where to find the source material and all the things. here's another thing I'll say. If you're part of our community, or if you're not part of our community and you just don't know how to use New Recruit and you're curious how to use it, reach out to us. Hop in the Discord. We'll put a link in this description. We'll also put a link to New Recruit. We'll put a link to all the materials we referenced. We'll put links to all of that. If you have questions, comments, concerns, any of these things, feel free to reach out to us, post in the Discord. We're all about it, right? Resources are what make this game easier to play, and New Recruit is one of the best resources we've ever had available to us as wargamers. And it does extend beyond Horus Heresy. There's also list building for Warhammer 40,000 10th edition. There's stuff for Star Wars Legion. There's stuff for every tabletop game you can imagine right now. It's just a matter of going in and adding it, which if you want to learn how to do that, totally on board with that as well. Just reach out to us. With that being said, Kyle, Christian, any final thoughts?
Yeah, when are we going to play this game? When are we going to play against this Thousand Suns versus these Iron Warriors?
Well, as of today, October 20th, we are 3 days away from Lake Hammer. And I plan on playing some 3.0 games with our buddy Seth from Warzone leading into this. And this upcoming week and weekend, I plan on playing you and Christian. And our next couple episodes, we're going to break down how those games went, what we liked, what we're worried about. And I'm probably going to have something to say about not liking being pinned by all of these bullshit bolters. I'm sure that's going to come up at some point.
For sure.
But that's the goal. The next thing I want to talk about is there are some groups out there doing some escalation leagues. I know that a couple of our friends down in Victoria, John Rich, and those guys are starting a Horus Heresy escalation league. I was excited to hear that they are not stopping at 3,000. They're actually going to 3,500 points.
Hell yeah.
Which I was like, ooh, 3,500. That makes me itchy.
A lot of crazy shit happens when you start breaking 3,000.
Yeah, it's so funny because almost everyone I've ever talked to is like, oh yeah, 3,500 is not bad. And I'm like, it kicks back to that part in Jumanji where he's like, oh, a little rain never hurt anybody. And like, oh boy, it's just like, yeah, but a lot can kill you. Dude, there's a lot that can get you when you start breaking above 3,000. Even those 500 points above, like the floodgates to stupid open real fast. And I think that one's going to be a riot. We're still gearing up for the 3.0 event up in Dallas that's happening in January. I know we're getting kind of ahead of that one because that one's still a few months out, but these games we play now are going to tell us what we're doing in that game.
Yep. I will I'm most likely going to take Iron Wars to that. So this will help me out a lot, and we'll learn together. Figure out what I don't and don't like about this list, and you know, if I'm wrong, y'all can comment, and I'll look at it, and we'll try to build off that. We take criticism too here.
Now, Gabe, I've got a fun question for you, and I only thought of it because I'm sitting here looking at this list.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that in my next modification of my 1,000-point list, or at least my next modification, if I decide to go with like an assault trooper or a jump pack trooper, I could use a disc of Zinch instead of a fucking jump pack?
Absolutely.
Yes, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, like that's
flying on discs.
Now I'm sure that there's somebody out there that's just like, no, the discs of Saints are not thematic to the Heresy. Oh, get the fuck over it. I think it would look awesome. It would feel awesome. It would aesthetically be really cool. I say do it.
Yeah, I'm gonna do it with a librarian, straight out of Space Marine.
See, now you're losing me. Now you're losing me.
But I'm gonna keep the red paint scheme. I'm not changing the blue. That's taking it too far.
I'm gonna stay over here. I'm gonna stay over here on that conversation. I'm gonna let y'all talk about that.
Christian's like, I'm gonna dip out.
Right? Didn't they change to blue for 40K? Or am I just talking out my ass?
No, you're right. Thousand
You're right.
Suns were red during the heresy, and then they turned into like a pearlized blue after the Horus heresy. I guess they wanted to get more in touch with their Alpha Legion side.
Yeah.
Still a really pretty blue, but it's, is what it is.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we're going to go ahead and wrap right there. As always, guys, thank you for listening. If you have any questions about New Recruit or any of the stuff we discussed today, feel free to hop into the channel. Send any questions you like. We'll be more than happy to discuss them on the next episode. As always, happy dice, happy life. Fuck Erebus, and we will catch you on the next one. Have a great time.
Adios.
Have I ever told you that is the dumbest outro of all time?
I was about to say you need to put that dumb shit on a shirt.